did this the Cowboy Vittles way. Welcome back to another day of cooking at the home of Cowboy Vittles, a place that you can share some recipes, a place that you can enjoy being with your family, a place that you can experiment with your taste buds. Now we're fast approaching into the holiday season. Right now we're coming upon Thanksgiving, and we, as you know, we like to pressure can a lot of our meats. But today we're going to be pressure canning in some turkey. Let me show you what we've got. We've got an 11-pound turkey here, folks. And we're going to go ahead and start ripping the skin off that because we don't need all that. Let's get that out of the way. Well, we've got all of the skin taken off this here turkey. It's time to start getting her busted down so that we can put them in our canning jars. Now, there's a lot of meat here. Like I say, it's 12-pound turkey. And normally I would go ahead and use Bronco, but this is a little bit bigger. So guess what? I'm bringing out the beef because, you know, I know a lot of folks, they'll go ahead and they'll use these fancy knives and everything else to cut up all their meat. It's time to get busy because we got a lot of meat to prepare. So let's go ahead and give this a chomp. Meet the beast. No hope, this ain't for you. Look at that. But that's all right. Now what we're gonna do is slide this over off to the side, throw that in the bowl. Now we can put the beast away, and then I'm gonna go ahead and use little boy. You remember that little hunting knife I got? It does a great job. Look at that. Isn't that some beautiful looking breasts? Sorry ladies, I didn't mean to say it like that, but I'm talking about turkey breasts. Let's throw that over here too. Now come back with me in just a few minutes. Let me get this all sliced up because we're going to be using all that meat. It's all skinned. I cut her on down, and now this is what's left of the skeleton. And no, we ain't wasting that either, because what I'm going to do is that as I start to pressure can this, I'm going to go ahead and put this in a pot of boiling water, and I'm going to get the rest of that little bit of niblets off there, and that way there, because let's face it, when you're pressure canning, you got to go ahead and use water. We're going to add in just a little bit of garlic salt or garlic powder, whichever you prefer. We're going to add in some pickling salt. We're also going to add in, because let's face it, I have never been able to find no bouillon cubes for turkey, so we're using chicken bouillon cubes, and we're going to throw one of them into each one of them. So come on over here while I show you what we're doing next. This here's my pressure cooker. I like to fondly use quite a bit because I can go ahead and make our meat up in there. I can go ahead and pressure can up our fruits and our vegetables and everything else like that. But there are certain things that you have to do in preparation of that. Now I've got about 3 inches worth of water inside this thing. And it'll, like I say, hold about 7 quarts of whatever we decide to do. Now, one thing you don't want to do is go ahead and have just water in there. You want to put a little bit of vinegar in there because I don't like my jars to come out all milky looking. I want to know what I'm doing, so I'm just going to pour in a little bit of vinegar in there. I'm going to go ahead and pop that top back on here. And I'm going to turn it on to high and let that start heating up as I start getting my turkey ready to go into our canning jars, and then we'll go ahead and put them in there, and then we'll see how that all comes out. Well, now that our pressure canner is getting started, ready to bathe our meat and stuff, what we're going to do is, remember them skeletons that we have left over from the turkey? We're going to put that in this pan of hot water. Then we're going to take some bouillon cubes. We're going to throw them in there. Then we're going to go ahead and take up some of this garlic salt, which basically we're going to use about maybe 4 teaspoons of this in there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Heck with it. Let's just do a 5th one. Garlic is always good. Let's get that in there. The next thing we need to do is we need to put in a little bit of canning salt in here. Turkey, you know, it doesn't have a lot of salt in it, and but you do need a little bit of it to give you flavor. So we're going to just put in 2 tablespoons of this. And then what we're going to do while our water's heating up in our pressure canner, we're going to go ahead and put this on because we want this to melt down and get all that excess meat off there. Because guess what? Some of that juice we're going to be using to fill up into our pressure canning jars. So give me a few moments and we'll be back to you. Let me start pulling these out of the kettle. Good, look at that. See how much meat is still left on that bone? We need that. Let's go ahead and set these down here. Drain that juice off because we're going to need that for our pressure canning. And that smells awful good. I think I might make some soup with that if I didn't have to use it in our pressure canner. Let's set this over off to the side. Now let's start trimming off the rest of this meat off of this. Because there's still a lot there we ain't gonna let go to waste. Throw that in that bowl. Well, now it's time to start ripping down that bone, because there's still a lot of meat inside that. Let's go ahead and peel that down the way it should be. We're going to get every last bit that we can. I started getting all the meat off the skeletons of the turkey. It's done. Now what we got to do, and yes, we need to go ahead and chop this down just a little bit. And I'm using Bronco, my little cleaver. And no, I'm not going to hammer it away. I'm just going to slice through it. Now I like my turkey a little bit bigger than some folks. So we're going to cut it down into decent sized chunks about this big. And we're going to be throwing that into our pressure canning jars. Let's get this out of the way. Get this off to the side. Now it's time to get out our canning jars. Now you remember how I told you that we went ahead and took that skeleton and we got the rest of the meat off there. We got the broth. We put in our bouillon cubes. We put in our other ingredients. Is ready. So let's bring this over here. Let me show you what we're going to do. I'm going to use a funnel for this. Helps me to get it in there and, instead of getting my hand stuck inside the jar. Let's go ahead and start throwing this in here. That should be enough. Now, let's get our ladle out here. we're going to take and stir some of this broth around. Unlike a lot of meat, where I'll just use strictly water and some seasoning and stuff, I like to use the broth from the turkey and the chicken and stuff. That way when it's pressure canning, I tell you what, all those juices come together and it makes it more flavorful. Come on, get down there. Now we're going to take our spatula and we're going to try to get some of these air bubbles out of here. Get that juice going. Now what we're going to do is have it about a finger length from the top, which is about 1 inch. So let's go ahead and put in just a little bit more. Oops. I tend to slop everything all over the place. It ain't my fault. I'm old. All right. She's right there. Now what we're going to do, and we got a couple more jugs that we've got to fill up. We're going to clean the edges of this. The jugs have already been sterilized. The lids have been washed and everything else like that. What we want to do by cleaning the edges, we want to go ahead and have that proper seal as we put it in the pressure canner. So what we're going to do, we're going to go ahead and put on that lid. Then we're going to put on our screw cap. And we don't want that in there too tight. So we want it to make a nice seal. Let's set this off to the side. And we'll get the next one going. This is a 7-quart pressure canner that we use, and what I do is I put this up there about 3 inches from the bottom, and then I pour in about anywhere from a half to a full cup of white vinegar. That way it doesn't allow our jars to get milky colored. We got everything done now. We've got our turkey meat, we put them into our quart-sized jars. We've actually even saved up our liquid that we had left over that we poured into this. Now we're going to go ahead and move forward into the kitchen and we're going to put them into the pressure canner. Now this is raw turkey. So we're going to have to cook this for about 90 minutes. If it was the other way around and we'd actually browned it and cooked it up most of the way, it'd probably only be about 75 minutes. Ooh, yeah, you can feel that steam film coming out of there. Let's go ahead and take this lid off and start getting these in here. Now, because I've only got 3 quart-sized jars of this turkey, which I'll be doing more up in the next week, I actually had to put in 4 more jars of water so they don't be rocking around and breaking each other. So let's go ahead and get this in here. Take a look at that. That's what you're looking for. Now let's put this lid back on here. Let's tighten that on down. As you can hear, our pressure canner is going. You can hear it. Ooh, and that steam is coming off there awful good. Now it's time to put on our pressure sinker. We're going to put this on 15-pound weight. We're going to put that on there. Ooh, and that's going to be rattling pretty good for the next hour and a half because this is raw turkey. Well, she's been about 90 minutes now. Our turkey's about done. She's been steaming up. She's about 245 pounds per pressure. Let's go ahead and take this off, and I want you to hear what this sounds like when we do it. Ooh-lee, that thing is steaming. Now what we're going to do is let some of this pressure dry out. And then we're going to pop the top off, and we're going to let some more of that steam come out even afterwards. But I'm not about to put my hands on this thing until it's ready, because I know I'll burn my fingertips off. Well, the pressure's coming on down now. Let's go ahead and start unscrewing this cap where I don't burn myself. Ooh, I'm feeling that steam again, like always. Ooh, my goodness. That's what you got to expect when you're pressure canning it. Now let's get this thing off here and get these jugs. Ooh, son of a gun. I tell you what, that just burned my arm with that steam. By golly, I tell you what, I just don't have no luck. Because if it weren't for bad luck, I'd have no luck at all. Now let's get our jar grabber out of here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to let these things in here. That's one of the ones that's got the water in it. I want you to take a look at this. That's our turkey. We're going to leave this in here for about another 10 more minutes. Let it continue to warm before we bring it out and let it start cooling off. Our pressure can turkey is done. We let it cook in the pressure canner for about 90 minutes. Then after we let it cool down, let all that pressure get out of there, we let it sit in there for about another 10 more minutes. Now we've got it out here. Now, it may not look like a whole lot, but that's 3 quart-sized jars that, guess what? It's gonna feed my family awful good for a few days. Now remember the juice that we had that we poured into this? We got 1.5 quarts of this. And that we're going to use for making soups and stews and things like that. Now, this turkey, I should say, that's going to sit overnight so it can continue cooling off. By morning, it'll be totally righteous. Now, if you like what we've done here, and we're going to be doing some more of the turkey and such as we go along, but if you like what we've done here today, I invite you to subscribe to us, to click the like button down below, and follow us on social media. In the meantime, Cowboy Vittles, come and get 'em.